Have you ever wondered why some people work 3 jobs and still can't get ahead, while others seem to build wealth effortlessly? Why lottery winners go broke within years? Why successful athletes file for bankruptcy? Here's the truth nobody wants to hear: it's not about luck. It's not about who you know. It's not even about how hard you work. It's about how you think. The poor and the rich live in the same world, but they operate in completely different realities. One group chases survival. The other builds systems. One fears losing. The other focuses on multiplying. And this gap? It's widening every single day. In this video, we're going to expose the hidden patterns that keep people trapped in poverty, and reveal the exact mindset shifts that create lasting wealth. This isn't about economics. This is about psychology, awareness, and the invisible forces that separate those who survive from those who thrive. So if you've ever asked yourself, why does money flow to some people and not others? You're about to find out. And if you're ready to change your financial reality by changing how you think, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to learn will challenge everything you believe about money. Let's get one thing straight: the gap between rich and poor isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in thinking patterns. The poor think about scarcity. The rich think about systems. The poor chase money. The rich make money chase them. And this difference starts long before any paycheck hits the bank. It starts in how each group processes time, risk, and reward. Here's what most people don't understand: a poverty mindset spends every dollar trying to feel safe. A wealth mindset invests every dollar trying to create freedom. Safety versus freedom, that's the real battle. And it's happening in your mind right now. Think about it: why do 90% of lottery winners end up broke? Why do millionaire athletes file for bankruptcy? Because you can't build wealth on a foundation of fear. And most people, no matter how educated or hardworking, are still ruled by financial fear. The poor say, "I can't afford that. That's not for people like me. I'll start when I have more." Every sentence that begins with "I can't" is a contract signed with limitation. It's fear disguised as logic. It makes you believe caution is wisdom when it's actually avoidance. The rich don't avoid risk, they understand it. They study it, manage it, and turn it into opportunity. The poor wait for the perfect moment. The rich create the moment. The poor say, "When I have enough, I'll invest." The rich say, "When I start investing, I'll have enough." See the difference? One is trapped in a cycle. The other is building momentum. And every day fear says wait, time quietly steals your potential. So ask yourself right now, are you thinking in terms of scarcity or abundance? Are you protecting what little you have, or building what you could create? Here's a brutal truth: the poor think in hours. The rich think in decades. The poor sell their time to the highest bidder. The rich buy back their time with leverage. The poor ask, "How much do I make per hour?" The rich ask, "How much can this hour multiply?" This difference sounds subtle, but it's the seed of every fortune in history. Because wealth is built by those who learn to trade effort for equity, not just effort for income. Let me give you a reality check: if you're working 60 hours a week but own nothing that can grow without you, you're not building wealth, you're building dependency. You're stuck on a treadmill. Work, spend, rest, repeat. Meanwhile, the rich are playing chess with time. They plant money into systems that work while they sleep: real estate, businesses, investments, intellectual property, all designed to multiply even when they're not watching. They don't just earn, they compound. Think about someone working as an employee: they trade 8 hours for a fixed payment. That's linear income. Now think about someone who owns rental properties: they earn whether they work that day or not. That's exponential income. The employee thinks, "How can I work more hours?" The owner thinks, "How can I create more streams?" One has a ceiling. The other has scale. Here's the hard question: what are you building that will pay you when you're not working? What systems are growing in the background of your life? Because if your income stops when you do, you're not free, you're fragile. Time is the one resource you can never get back. The poor waste it. The rich weaponize it. Which side are you on? Let's talk about the invisible game being played around you. Because make no mistake, there is a game. And most people don't even know they're on the board. The poor play checkers. The rich play chess. The poor see moves. The rich see patterns. The poor look for jobs. The rich look for leverage. Here's what nobody tells you: the system isn't designed to save you, it's designed to reward those who understand how it works. That's why wealthy people study economics, taxes, and ownership while others scroll, binge, and complain. Let me break down one specific example: debt. The poor have been taught that all debt is bad. They avoid it, fear it, or misuse it on consumer goods, cars, clothes, electronics. Things that lose value the moment you buy them. The rich? They use debt strategically. They borrow money to buy assets that appreciate, real estate that generates rental income, businesses that produce profit, investments that compound. Same debt, completely different direction. When the poor borrow money, it's a trap. When the rich borrow money, it's a lever. One uses debt to consume comfort. The other uses debt to create cash flow. Here's another example: taxes. The average person complains about taxes. The wealthy study them. Why? Because the tax code is written to reward certain behaviors, specifically, creation and ownership. Employees get taxed the most. Business owners and investors get taxed the least. This isn't unfair, it's intentional. The system rewards people who create jobs, provide housing, and innovate. When you're just trading time for money, you're taxed heavily. When you're building systems that contribute to the economy, the system gives you breaks. The poor see the tax code as punishment. The rich see it as a playbook. While one group complains, the other strategizes. They hire accountants, they structure entities, they use legal loopholes to minimize taxes and maximize growth. Knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. In today's world, ignorance is the most expensive habit you can have. The more you understand how money works, the less you need luck to win. So here's my question for you: are you complaining about the game, or are you learning to play it? Here's where most people lose: money is made with logic, but it's controlled by emotion. Fear makes people sell low. Greed makes people buy high. Ego makes people compete instead of collaborate. And these emotional patterns destroy more wealth than any economic crash ever could. The rich train their emotions. The poor are trained by their emotions. When the market crashes, the poor panic and sell. The rich prepare and buy. When opportunity appears, the poor hesitate. The rich act. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine two people facing the same business opportunity. It requires $10,000 investment and has a 70% probability of returning $50,000 within 2 years. The poor person thinks, what if I lose? That's all my savings. What will people think if I fail? Fear dominates. They pass on the opportunity. The wealthy person thinks, if I lose, I learn. If I win, I multiply. Even if it fails, I gain experience worth more than $10,000. Logic dominates. They take the calculated risk. Same opportunity. Completely different responses. One operates from fear. The other operates from strategy. Here's the brutal truth: your bank account is a mirror of your mental habits. You don't get rich by chasing money, you get rich by controlling yourself. Every overspend is emotional. Every impulse purchase is emotional. Every time you buy something to feel better about yourself rather than improve yourself, that's emotion stealing your future. The rich meditate. They journal. They pause before big decisions. They ask, am I acting from strategy or from emotion? This emotional discipline is their competitive advantage. Think about your last 3 financial decisions. Were they logical or emotional? Were you solving a problem or soothing a feeling? Because until you can answer that honestly, you'll stay trapped in patterns that keep you broke. The difference between rich and poor isn't intelligence, it's emotional control. Master your emotions, and you master your money. Here's the secret every rich person knows: if you don't build a system, you'll always work for one. Systems are why the rich sleep while money flows in. They're the machines that multiply effort, automate income, and scale time. Most people think wealth comes from hard work. That's only half true. Hard work builds character. Systems build empires. The poor say, "I'll work harder." The rich say, "I'll work smarter, then hire harder workers." Every business, every investment, every piece of passive income is a system designed to do one thing: remove the need for constant effort. Let me break this down with an example. A doctor trading time for money might make $300 per hour. Sounds good, right? But there's a ceiling. They can't work more than a certain number of hours. Their income is capped by time. Now compare that to someone who builds an online course teaching medical knowledge. They create it once, and it sells while they sleep. To thousands of people. Simultaneously. That's a system. No ceiling. Pure scale. The poor trade hours for dollars. The rich trade systems for freedom. That's why you see wealthy people with multiple income streams: rental properties, businesses, royalties, dividends. Each one is a system working in the background. Here's what you need to understand: every hour you work should create something that can work without you. A product. A process. A piece of content. An investment. Something that multiplies your effort beyond the moment. If your income stops when you do, you're not free, you're trapped in a time-for-money prison. The question you must ask yourself is this: what system can I build that makes my effort exponential? Because you don't escape the system by quitting your job. You escape it by building your own. What are you building that will outlive your effort? We live in an age obsessed with credentials, degrees, and resumes. But here's what Robert Greene teaches in The Laws of Human Nature: character isn't revealed in moments, it's revealed in patterns. You can be charmed by someone's presentation, impressed by their credentials, swayed by their words. But if you want to know who someone really is, watch what they do repeatedly when they think nobody's watching. The rich understand this deeply. They don't just look at what people say, they study behavioral patterns. If someone repeatedly makes the same mistakes, that's not bad luck, that's their character. If a business partner constantly breaks small promises, they'll break big ones too. Pattern is prophecy. Let me give you 4 signals to watch for. First, behavioral repetition. If your friend cancels plans consistently, they don't value your time. If someone always blames others for problems, they lack accountability. These aren't accidents, they're character. Second, small moments reveal everything. How does someone treat a waiter? How do they react when they don't get their way? How do they speak about people who aren't present? These tiny windows show you the real person behind the performance. Third, watch people during difficult times. Anyone can be pleasant when life is easy. But pressure reveals character. Do they blame or take responsibility? Do they panic or problem solve? Do they abandon ship or stay committed? Fourth, consistency between words and actions. If someone constantly says they'll change but never does, believe their actions. Talk is the cheapest currency in the world. Behavior is expensive and honest. Here's a powerful exercise. Think of 3 important people in your life: a business partner, a friend, a romantic partner. What patterns have you observed over the past year? Are there red flags you've been ignoring because you like their words? Are there green flags you should appreciate more? The rich make fewer relationship mistakes because they trust patterns over performances. They don't get fooled by charm. They watch consistency. They value reliability over charisma. The poor ignore red flags because they want to believe the best. The rich observe patterns because they want to know the truth. Which approach protects your future better? Here comes the part most financial advice ignores. At a certain point, money stops being about the numbers and starts being about meaning. The poor chase money because they think it will buy happiness. The rich pursue purpose because they know happiness is a byproduct of contribution. Purpose is the currency that outlasts profit. Think about it. Why do billionaires keep building long after they've earned more than they could ever spend? Because they've attached their work to something bigger than themselves. They're not working for money anymore, they're working for impact, legacy, and meaning. Here's what happens when you find purpose: work stops feeling like work. Obstacles become challenges instead of roadblocks. Failure becomes feedback instead of defeat. You wake up driven not by fear of poverty, but by excitement for possibility. Let me ask you directly, why do you do what you do? Not the surface answer like to pay bills. The deep answer. What impact do you want to make? What problem do you want to solve? What legacy do you want to leave? Your purpose lives at the intersection of three things: what you're good at, what you love doing, and what the world needs. When you find that intersection, you've found your calling. And when you operate from your calling, money follows naturally, because people pay for solutions, transformation, and value. The poor work for survival. The rich work for significance. The poor see a job as a means to an end. The rich see their work as a vehicle for change. And that shift in perspective changes everything: your energy, your creativity, your persistence. Here's a real example. Think about someone who started a business just to make money versus someone who started one to solve a problem they deeply care about. Who do you think works harder during tough times? Who innovates more? Who attracts better talent? The one with purpose wins every time. Purpose gives you endurance when profit would have made you quit. It gives you clarity when confusion would have paralyzed you. It makes you magnetic to opportunities because people feel the authenticity of your mission. So stop chasing money and start chasing meaning. Because when you serve at the highest level, wealth becomes the natural consequence, not the goal. What problem in the world makes you angry enough to solve it? That's where your fortune hides. Here's what Albert Einstein supposedly called the eighth wonder of the world: compound interest. But it's not just about money, it's about everything. Habits compound. Knowledge compounds. Relationships compound. Choices compound. The poor want instant results. The rich trust the compound effect. The poor quit too early to see results. The rich stay long enough to watch them explode. Here's how compounding really works: a dollar invested today grows tomorrow. A skill practiced daily doubles in value next year. A connection nurtured now opens doors a decade from now. Small, consistent actions create massive, exponential results, but only if you're patient enough to let them. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine two people, both 25 years old. Person A saves $200 per month and invests it at a 7% annual return. Person B waits until they're 35 to start, but saves $400 per month at the same return rate. By age 65, Person A has over $525,000. Person B? Only $400,000, despite saving twice as much per month. Why? Because Person A gave their money 10 extra years to compound. Time was their multiplier. This same principle applies to learning. Read 10 pages a day, that's 3,650 pages a year. That's 12 books. In 10 years, you've consumed 120 books while the average person reads fewer than one per year. Your knowledge compounds. Your perspective expands. Your opportunities multiply. The poor crave instant gratification. The rich trust delayed satisfaction. The poor eat the seed. The rich plant it and wait for the harvest. One path empties your future. The other fills it. Here's the brutal truth: every decision you make either compounds your future or consumes it. Every impulse purchase, every skipped workout, every hour of procrastination, these aren't isolated moments. They're investments in the wrong direction. The rich understand this viscerally. That's why they live below their means while building above their circumstances. They drive ordinary cars while building extraordinary portfolios. They sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term control. So ask yourself, What small action can you take today that, repeated consistently, would transform your life in 5 years? Because wealth isn't built in massive leaps, it's built in tiny, disciplined steps that compound into freedom. We've journeyed through the core differences between poverty thinking and wealth thinking. From time and systems to emotions and purpose. But here's what it all comes down to: you have a choice. You can keep operating from fear, scarcity, and survival, and stay exactly where you are. Or you can adopt the mindset of expansion, systems, and strategy, and start building real wealth. The gap between rich and poor isn't about money. It's about mentality. The poor chase comfort. The rich chase challenge. The poor live by emotion. The rich live by execution. The poor seek survival. The rich seek significance. But here's the gift: no matter where you're starting, you can rewrite your story. You can change your habits. You can elevate your standards. You can retrain your thoughts. Because wealth isn't about inheritance, it's about intention. Every choice you make from this moment forward, what you read, what you consume, who you spend time with, what you believe, will either bring you closer to freedom or deeper into frustration. So choose wisely. Act boldly. Think abundantly. Because when you master your mind, you master your money. And when you master your money, you master your life. Before you go, if this video challenged your perspective, if it stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Hit that like button as your contract with growth. Drop a comment with the idea that hit you hardest. And subscribe, not for me, but for you. For your next chapter. For your next breakthrough. Because the world doesn't need more rich people. It needs more aware ones. People who use wealth as a tool for impact, not as a mask for insecurity. So go build wisely. Live intentionally. And remember, the poor stay poor by repeating old patterns. The rich get richer by retraining their minds. The choice is yours. What will you choose?